morning to all. In this session, today we are going to discuss about key elements of teacher handbook. What are the contents in this session? Concept map, learning outcomes, teacher references, teaching learning materials, teaching learning process, QR codes in the teacher handbook, teacher diary. These are the contents in this session we are going to discuss. What is concept map? A concept map is a visual organizer that outlines the relationship between different topics within a subject. It helps in clarifying key concepts and enhancing understanding, structuring lessons logically from general ideas to specific details, promoting hierarchical learning where foundational knowledge supports complex concepts. What are the benefits from this concept map? It streamlines lesson planning, serves as a visual aid during instructions, encourages cognitive connections among topics. Second one is learning outcomes. Learning outcomes define what students should be able to do after a lesson. These statements form the backbone of instruction, ensuring clarity and alignment. Core functions of learning outcomes. Focused teaching avoids diversion and reinforces critical skills. Assessment planning guides the creation of questions and activities. Student engagement, it helps learners understand expectations and track their own progress. What are the examples of learning outcomes? By the end of the lesson, students will be able to achieve some certain learning outcomes. For example, analyze characters and their motivations, predict narrative developments using textual ideas or clues, summarize key events effectively, identify and explain themes like empathy, create coherent biographical sketches, interpret the moral of a story, etc. Coming to the next, teacher resources or teachers references. Teachers are equipped with curated set of open educational resources from platforms like Diksha and APSCRT. Sorry, I repeat. Teachers are equipped with a curated set of open educational resources from platforms like Diksha and SCRT AP. These include PDFs on grammar, example parts of speech, noun modifiers, active voice, passive voice, etc. Video tutorials on tenses and collective nouns. In addition, interactive puzzles also there. The purpose of lesson plan: prepares teachers ahead of lessons, builds subject mastery and boosts confidence, ensures curriculum consistency. Teaching learning materials are tools used to make learning more engaging and concrete. Examples from the teacher handbook includes growth and narrator timelines, worksheets and videos on inclusive education. What are the benefits of teaching learning material? Teaching learning material makes lessons visually and cognitively stimulating. It offers structured, ready to use content, adaptable to diverse learners' needs. Coming to the next one, teaching learning process. Teaching learning process. Structured teaching learning process. The teacher handbook outlines a step-by-step model that maximizes students' engagement and comprehension. Here in this teacher handbook, there are several steps. These are hook activity, explicit modeling, group work, independent work. Hook activity. It is a brief attention grabbing activity to introduce the lesson. Explicit modeling, that means I do activity. The teacher demonstrates the lesson or the skill which are in that particular lesson. Guided practice, it is also known as we do activity. It is a collaborative group work. It fosters peer learning. And the next one, independent practice. That means you do activity. In this, students apply the concepts individually. And finally, closer activity. It is a recap activity or a takeaway activity to reinforce the learning. And coming to the QR codes in the teacher handbook. These QR codes for each lesson plan in teacher handbook for easy access. QR codes on calendar provides information of no bag day activities, information of cluster meetings or teacher resources. QR codes which are provided in this teacher handbook, it gives additional information and provides additional information for teachers requirement. QR codes provide instant digital access to detailed lesson plans, saving time and improving efficiency of the teachers. QR codes are user friendly navigation. Teachers can simply scan and retrieve the right content without searching through multiple pages or files. Teaching learning process and use of QR codes. Structured teaching learning process. The teacher handbook outlines a step-by-step model that maximizes student engagement and comprehension. In this teacher handbook, earlier we told that there are several activities which are book activity, explicit modeling, guided practice, independent practice, closer activity. QR codes for seamless access. Each lesson in the teacher handbook includes QR codes for direct links to lesson plans and several activities such as no bag day activity and etc. Teacher's diary and reflective practice. Teacher diary is a tool for growth. The diary is a reflective space where teachers document the lesson delivered, strategies which are used in the classroom, student engagement levels. What are the student engagement levels? What are the difficult areas are there in that particular lesson? Teachers are able to notice and write these items in their teacher's diary. Guided reflection questions. What strategies work to engage students? How effective was group work? What should be engaged or improved next time? Such type of questions are the guided reflective questions. What is the purpose of teacher diary? Teacher diary tracks lesson completion and period logs, encourages self-evaluation and instructional improvement, helps in identifying patterns and areas of development, open space for feedback to teachers as well as the students also. Coming to the conclusion, the teacher handbook is a powerful guide that helps teachers plan and deliver effective lessons. It provides tools like concept maps, learning outcomes and structured lesson plans. These tools make teaching more focused, clear and engaging for students. The teacher handbook also includes useful resources such as worksheets, charts and videos. QR codes in the teacher handbook give teachers quick access to lesson materials and activities. The teaching process outlined in the teacher handbook promotes active learning through group work, independent tasks and reflection. Teacher diaries help track progress and improve future lessons. This training helps trainers understand the teacher handbook deeply and pass that knowledge on to others. By using the teacher handbook, teachers can align their teaching with curriculum goals. Together we can make classrooms more interactive, inclusive and effective for all learners. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Now I am going to share a few points about pedagogical strategies in teacher's handbook. The agenda in the teacher's handbook is 1. Pedagogical approaches, gradual release of responsibility, teaching strategies that is hook activities, and check for understanding, that is CFU. Strategies used in we do phase, promoting critical thinking in 21st century skills. And last but not the least, student independent practice and remedial support. Now, it is teaching learning process. The first activity is hook activity, which helps to grab the student's attention and activates prior knowledge to set the context. Explicit modeling, that is I do. Here, the teacher will demonstrate whatever he wants. The teacher demonstrates the skill or concept clearly, setting a strong example. Next, group activity. Both the teachers and the students will do. It encourages collaboration, discussion and peer learning. Next, independent work. Here, only the students can work. It allows students to apply learning individually, reinforcing understanding. Last but not the least in this teaching learning process is closure. Wraps up the lesson with a quick review, reflection or takeaway to solidify learning of the student. Next, the concept map. It is a support tool. The Teacher's Handbook is a cornerstone resource aligned with the National Education Policy NEP 2020 and the State Curriculum Framework for Andhra Pradesh SCF AP. It is designed not just to guide educators through curriculum implementation, but also to transform classrooms into active, engaging and inclusive spaces. The Teacher Handbook integrates research-backed pedagogical practices and child-centered strategies that promote deep learning, holistic development and equitable participation. Next, pedagogical approaches. The Teacher Handbook lesson plans are constructed around constructivist and learner-centered pedagogies. These strategies place the student at the heart of the learning process and encourage them to construct their own understanding. Instructional designs in the Teacher Handbook reflects an active learning environment where students are prompted to explore, reflect, collaborate and communicate. Activities such as reading aloud, small group discussions, visual analysis and creative drawing support multimodal learning, that is visual, auditory and kinesthetic. The emphasis on story-based learning provides a familiar and emotionally engaging context for students. It enables them to relate to characters, analyze plots and evaluate moral and emotional outcomes. This narrative approach fosters a love for reading while nurturing creativity, empathy and critical analysis skills. Students not just to read but interpret, imagine and articulate their perspectives, making every story a stepping stone to deeper learning. Next, it is gradual release of responsibility. It is a key instructional framework in the Teacher's Handbook is the I do, we do, you do model, which scaffolds learning and supports student independent over time. I do, that is also called as explicit teaching. The teacher begins by modeling reading with appropriate intonation and expression. Vocabulary is introduced using accessible metaphors and visuals, ensuring that all learners grasp abstract ideas, that is, comparing story elements to the ingredients in a curry. Next, shifted to we do, which is also called as collaborative learning. We do collaborative reading. In this phase, students engage in structured peer activities. Working in small groups, they discuss plot points, character motivations and central themes. Teachers guide them with prompts and questions that encourage co-construction of knowledge. Next, you do. It is also called as independent practice. Here, the students can practice on their own. Finally, students independently apply what they have learned. Activities may include answering comprehension questions, writing reflections, or engage in creative extension tasks. This model provides scaffolded learning opportunities and it especially valuable for first generation learners. Students with limited prior exposure to academic language or those requiring remedial support. Each phase builds confidence and ensures that all learners experience success. Next, we shifted to teaching strategies, that is hook activities. The opening moments of a lesson are vital for grabbing students' attention and activating prior knowledge. The teacher handbook recommends hook activities to set the tone for learning. One example is the picture interpretation task, where students observe an illustration for 10 seconds and then engage in group-based reflection. Here, the student has an opportunity to deliver his own experience. This approach invites curiosity, activates imagination, and encourages participation without relying solely on literary levels. Next, it is time for open-ended questions and checks for understanding. It is also called as CFU. Open-ended questions tied to visuals promote inclusivity and create a safe space for varied responses. Such activities help build an anticipatory framework in learners' minds, making the upcoming lesson more relevant and engaging. Collaborative learning and critical thinking. Strategies used in we-do phase. Group work is more than cooperative. It is collaborative, meaning students to share responsibility for constructing understanding. The teacher handbook encourages the formation of heterogeneous groups, allowing peer support and inclusive engagement. Each group is tasked with analyzing specific story elements like characters or settings. They discuss their interpretations and present findings to the class, promoting ownership of learning. This fosters not just subject understanding, but communication, leadership, and team building skills vital for the 21st century. Promoting critical thinking and 21st century skills. The teacher handbook is designed to cultivate future-ready learners equipped with the skills to think, solve, and innovate. The lesson integrates critical thinking, analyzing plots, character intentions, and prediction outcomes. Next, it is creativity, inventing magical characters or rewriting endings to stories. Next, communication, oral presentations and collaborative dialogues sharpen speaking and listening. Last one in this section is digital literacy. QR codes, videos and platforms like Diksha make technology an accessible part of the lesson. Next, we step into independent practice and remedial support. Student independent practice and remedial support. Independent learning in the teacher handbook is tailored to ensure both consolidation and creativity. Activities such as multiple choice questions, short answer writing, and reflection tasks are designed to reinforce vocabulary and story understanding, promote independent thinking and written expression, access knowledge of narrative, structure, and comprehension. The teacher handbook also embeds remedial strategies seamlessly into lessons. Word words, word words and visual clues support vocabulary development. Rereading and repetition improve fluency of the language. Peer assisted learning ensures no child is left behind. Next, student independent practice, also called as SIP, offers one-on-one support for struggling learners. Next come to homework and conclusion. Homework tasks are creative and personal, such as inventing a character or linking a story to a personal experience, which supports deeper retention and emotional connection. This pedagogical module from the teacher handbook is a model of inclusive, engaging and future-ready education. Aligned with NEP 2020, it bridges a gap between policy and class reality by combining traditional storytelling with modern educational practices. Each strategy, from hook activities to collaborative group work and digital integration, is thoughtfully crafted to promote curiosity, participation and deeper understanding. The focus on critical thinking, communication and creativity ensures that students are not passive recipients, but active contributors in their learning journey.
From the Diary of Anne Frank, a model lesson plan. Before we start looking at the plan, we shall see the steps involved in a model lesson plan. Firstly, teaching objectives, and secondly, learning objectives, and finally, methods of presenting the lesson. Now, let's come to the teaching objectives of the lesson. Here, the teacher introduces the story and its historical significance and its setting, builds comprehension by giving reading opportunities at different levels, both in groups and individually, makes students understand and use certain new words in a context, makes students understand certain forms of writing or discourses, develops critical thinking through using questions, encourages interactive discussion and student participation. Now, let's come to the learning outcomes of the day one transaction of the lesson from the diary of Anne Frank. The learning objectives of the lesson are as follows. Students will be able to know what a diary is, and they will get a first-hand experience of reading a diary by reading an actual diary of a young girl and come to know its features. They will understand the historical context of the lesson. They will identify their school life with that of Anne Frank. They will learn to empathize with the feelings of Anne Frank. They will be able to use words like persecution, concentration camp, the Holocaust, betrayed, survivor, unique, chronicle, opera, insightful, and victims. They will learn to use certain idiomatic expressions like bring oneself to do something, plunge in, and make up for something. And students will be able to learn many words related to war and discourses through brainstorming activities done by teacher. Now, let us come to the method of presenting the lesson. The pedagogical approach followed in transacting the lesson is GRR, that is, gradual release of responsibility. This model scaffolds learning and ultimately makes the students independent readers. It involves 5 steps. The first one is hook, that is, motivating the students towards the topic. The hook involves connecting the students to the required concept by using their prior knowledge or connecting the concept to their real lives. And then the second one is I do. Here, the teacher teaches the lesson explicitly. Teacher gives the meanings to certain words which teacher thinks are necessary to be explained for students in non-English surroundings. The teacher gives a video support or picture support for the words if necessary. And also he gives bilingual meanings to make the students comfortable with the language. Then the teacher reads the lines slowly and clearly with proper pauses, intonation, and pronunciation so as to make the students able to understand the text. And then let's come to the third step in the process, that is we do, the collaborative learning. At this stage, students will be made to sit in heterogeneous groups and read the text, exchanging their understanding with each other, sharing their ideas, discussing the ideas mentioned in the text. Meanwhile, teacher keeps on giving support through questions, understanding their progress, and re-questioning, redirecting their thinking, and making brief summaries and making enlightening comments. All these scaffolding actions support the students' learning in a kind of secure and protective environment. Now, the fourth step is you do, that is, the independent practice by the students. At this stage, students will sit individually and read the text independently. It will be followed by teacher's comprehension check, which involves both factual and open-ended questions. The finally, the final step is SIP, students' individual practice. At this stage, students will be given a home assignment on the concept work in the classroom to further reinforce that concept. Now, let us see the execution of these 5 steps in transacting the day 1 lesson on from the diary of Anne Frank, that is, transacting before you read part in the lesson. Coming to the first part, hook. Now, the teacher shows the pictures of war or battlefield and draws their prior knowledge about wars or their thoughts or ideas about wars and connects to the present topic as follows. Now, the students, look at this picture. What do you see in the picture? War. What happens if you lose the battle? We will be captivated. What happens if enemy soldiers enter your country? They loot and kill us. If such things are happening, what will you do? We hide in a secret place not to be caught. Yes, exactly. The same thing happened in case of Anne Frank during the World War II. But unfortunately, she was caught and deported to a concentration camp. Now let us come to the second step in the process, I do. The teacher exhibits the pictures of Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, the Holocaust, and Anne Frank in hiding place. Now look at the pictures. Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, the first one, the second one, the Holocaust, and the third one, Anne Frank in hiding place. These 3 pictures speak volumes about the summary of the part. They show the horrible conditions existed in those days in concentration camps. And now the teacher shows the meanings of the following words through a chart. Persecution, systematic mistreatment of an individual or a group by another individual or group. Torture, oppression, మరణానికి దారితీసే పరిస్థితులను కలుగచేసి హింసించుట. Concentration camp. It's an internment camp in which people are imprisoned and often tortured. Nirbandha శిబిరము. Holocaust. The mass killing, slaughter, massacre, genocide. ఊచకోత, సామూహిక మారణకాండ. Betrayed, cheated, మోసగించడం. Survivor, a person who remains alive, one who withstands affliction, మరణం నుండి బయటపడిన వ్యక్తి. Now, let's come to unique, very special, విలక్షణమైన, chronicle, to record the events in the order of happening, జరిగిన సంఘటనలను గంధస్థం చేయుట. Opera, a musical drama, insightful, having deep understanding, లోతైన అవగాహన గల లేదా అంతర్దృష్టి గల. Victims, sufferers, బాధితులు. Now, students, can you tell me some words related to war? War. Tell me words about them. Capture, treaty, army, confinement, fighting, victory, captives, defeat, battle, attack, guns, weapons, violence, military, peace. Now, students, can you tell me some words related to different forms of writing or discourses? Let's see different forms of writing. Description, letter, poem, speech, conversation, diary, story, interview, autobiography, newspaper report, biography, and essay. Now the teacher will read the before you read part clearly and meaningfully with proper pronunciation and intonation. Before you read. Anneliese Marie Anne Frank was a German-born Jewish girl who wrote while in hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam during the German occupation of the Netherlands in the World War II. Her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into the Netherlands. As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system where Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen within days of her sister Margit Frank. Her father Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. Before you read part, let us continue. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles the events of her life from 12th June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. There have also been several films, television, and theatrical productions, and even an opera based on the diary. Described as the work of a mature, insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation, and Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. Now let's come to the video part. So in this step, the students are asked to sit in groups. The groups are heterogeneous groups, and they keep reading the lesson and they keep cooperating with each other. And while students are reading the lesson, teacher may use the following questions in order to support their understanding. At the same time, these questions also check their understanding. Let us see the examples of such questions, which can both help the students understand and check the students understand. What is the name of a person being talked about? What is her full name? Where was she born? Which race did she belong to? Where was she hiding? With whom was she hiding? Why was she hiding? Why did her family move to Amsterdam? Why were they trapped in Netherlands? Who were being persecuted by Nazis? When did their family go into hiding? Why did they come out of their hiding? Where were they transported to? How did Anne die? What was the name of Anne's father? Who survived in the family by the time the war ended? Under what title Anne's diary was first published? Why was the diary given to Anne and by whom? What was the period that was recorded in the diary? In which language was the diary written initially? Why did her diary become famous? What did her diary describe? Have you ever recorded your feelings in a diary? So, such questions will not only keep tracking the understanding of the students, but also help students understand the text. Now, let's come to the fourth step in the process you do. That is, students are requested to sit independently, individually, and they are expected to understand the lines. Students will be asked to sit individually and read. It will be followed by CFO, check for understanding. CFU includes both factual and open-ended questions. Let's see examples for some factual questions. When and where was Anne Frank born? What was the name of her father? Where did she go into hiding? Why did they hide? Who killed Jews? Now, let's see some examples for open-ended questions. What would have happened if Anne's father had not presented her a diary on her birthday? What would have happened if all the family members had died? What would have happened if the diary had not been recovered? What would have what would you do if you were in place of Anne Frank when she was caught? Now, the final step in the process, that is SIP, students independent practice or homework. The students will be asked to work on the textbook at home and will be given an assignment. For example, write a diary entry about the saddest incident in our life. Thank you for watching the video.